Hi, this is Alan McKay. Welcome to episode 84. I'm speaking with Dennis Mejillones, a senior character artist at Bethesda. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Allan McKay Podcast. Allan is an Emmy Award-winning visual effects artist and mentor to many leading industry experts. Listen in as Allan talks with other industry leaders in film, video games, and visual effects about their experience, lessons, and methodology. Allan will teach you pivotal advice to fast-track your career, better your skills, and reach your ultimate dream job. Check out the latest episodes on allanmckay.com.
Okay, so welcome to a brand new episode. I'm going to get right into this. Before I get started, just a heads up, I've just released some brand new training. It's 10 videos over 15 hours of really insane visual effects training, and it's absolutely free for the month of July, so leading up to July 14th. So I think it's June 20 that this is coming out, and so you've got less than 30 days to dive into this. And on top of the videos, there's also scene assets, finished rendered frames are going to be releasing as well, and the comps, I'm actually going to be doing the tutorials both in Digital Fusion, Nuke, and After Effects, so that way you can learn to composite in whatever your, I was going to say favorite, but flavor of the month software package is for compositing. So there's a lot more. There's going to be live case studies, a public career intensive, which is the first ever public career intensive I've ever done. I have them in my FXTD mentorship. Probably every quarter we go through and work on our goals, obstacles. I give a lot of career advice, give a lot of one-on-one time with everyone on how to kind of really hit their goals and where I can kind of help with that as well. There's lots of cool stuff. So I'm really excited about this, and it's up until July 14th. So if you want to get this training, and like I said, it's completely free, all you got to do is go to allanmckay.com/fireball. And it's fireball because guess what? We're going to be creating this massive fireball. We're going through a lot of rigid body dynamics, optimizations, rendering, lighting, destruction. There's so much cool stuff that we do. And so I wanted to mention that because I'd mentioned, I think in the last 2 episodes that it was coming, and I actually planned to put it out about a month and a half ago. I've been working on this thing embarrassingly way too long, and I'm glad that it's out. I'm still working on other videos, but I'm glad that it's out because, I've literally been working on this for so long, and the last 2 episodes I mentioned that it's out, and it hadn't quite actually come out yet. And so finally, it's out. Go to allanmckay.com/fireball, and you'll be able to grab it right now. I'll also leave a link in the show notes. So if you want to get the show notes, just go to allanmckay.com/84, and everything will be in there. So that being said, this is an episode with Dennis Mejillones, who is a really good friend of mine, who's worked at Bethesda and a lot of other studios as well. Super talented character artist, as well as he's been diving into a lot of 3D printing lately, doing a lot of really cool stuff there, and a lot of other stuff. We did a Facebook Live recently, which was a lot of fun, and I'll try and leave a link to that if I can dig it up. It was actually a lot of fun. I was laughing my ass off a lot. It was really cool, just kind of like going into his process and the tools he uses, answering a lot of questions that were coming up, things like that. But anyway, let's dive into this episode. It's a lot of fun, and we cover a lot of really cool stuff to do with his career, as well as with the video games he's worked on, such as Fallout 4 and Skyrim. So that being said, here is Dennis Mejillones. All right, well, let's dive right into it. All right, how much money do you make? Do you want to give a quick intro, or like tell us a bit about yourself, who you are,
Sure.
what you do, what your favorite
My
color
name
is?
is Dennis Mejillones. I am a senior character artist at Bethesda Game Studios. And I'm responsible, well, at least in Skyrim and Fallout 4, I was responsible for character creation systems, creatures, monsters, stuff like that. But basically designing along with a group of people the character creation system, all the assets, building the assets that were used in it in both titles. Some other art assets, including the werewolf and stuff like that. Me and Jeremy Bryant. I don't know if you've met him. No,
No,
of course.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So and then
money.
robots
What the
in
hell?
Fallout 4. That was a big thing too for me. The robot creation system used in Automatron. and used to create the robots in the base game and designing them. All fun stuff because I like robots.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Cool, man. No, it's awesome. Yeah, I've never played either of those games. Obviously, they're huge. I do have.
Well, this call is over, man. It's over.
No, I actually got the artwork. It's funny because Christina actually was like schooling me on, like, it weirds me out like that. Yeah, she's schooling me on Fallout, and I'm like, really, you know about the shit? I was in Australia years ago, and I met one of my cousins who's now like 18 or something, but I knew him, you know, since he was a baby. But yeah, I think he was 12 at the time, and Christina was talking to him, and he mentioned League of Legends, and the two of them started like talking about League of Legends, and I'm just like, shit, I feel old right now because I'm like, I'm the odd one out of like these two people. What the hell? But
no, you're not old. She's just way cooler than you are. That's all.
Apparently, yeah. I get told that a lot. So yeah, but I think it's cool. I mean, I bought like a bunch of books on like artwork of Doom and Fallout and like a bunch of other, just anything I thought was really cool at the time.
Right.
Warcraft. So yeah, like it looks amazing. Like some of the stuff in there looks freaking unreal. So I love that. And yeah, I was talking with the Pixelogic guys a few weeks back, and they'll give props to you. So sounds like you've been
those
pretty
dudes,
busy.
man, they're really good guys. It's funny because I went to the Zebra Summit this past summer, and I did a workshop and a talk for those guys. They invited me, and I was very honored. It was really a pleasure, and it's crazy because I learned a lot there. You know, you think you know a lot, but you realize there's so much to learn. It's amazing that it just runs so deep. But those guys actually, man, they were the most down to earth guys, and it's funny because they're like, "Oh, you worked on Fallout and this and that," and I'm like, I'm geeking out. I'm like, Pixelogic. Oh my God, that's the guy. You know, to me, these guys they're my icons. The stuff that they did with the software is amazing. And I mean, the truth is, I can't imagine I'd be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for that software, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that and for those guys. And just, you could tell that software is made with a lot of passion, which I love.
I love the fact that there's such a huge community around it, and they know what's going on. Like out of every software company that I've spoken to, they seem to be like they've got their finger on the pulse a lot more than anyone. In terms of
absolutely.
What's up. Yeah.
And they send out these free updates, and every time I get a free update and it has all these amazing features, I was like, how are we getting this for free? You know, it's just because I mean I'd be paying for it, but it's pretty amazing that they share like that. You know, so I mean those guys are definitely the ones to emulate. You know,
that's cool. And sorry, I'm just trying to turn my light on so I can see. But yeah, man, I think it's really sweet. So I was curious, like we met, I think it's 2007. I think it was around then, right?
Yeah. I remember. It's fun times. You carried me home. I remember those. Well, I remember some of it.
Oh, I'll say this: whenever I'm watching a movie and they mention like Port Authority, it always makes me think of you.
Yeah,
you always had that big track.
I was telling Jeremy about you. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm Allan. I was talking to him about a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna do a podcast. And I kind of give him a little bit of history. I'm like, man, we've had some drunken out party sessions. It was awesome, but I always ended up being carried home by Allan. Like I wasn't making it my own. So it was just, I remember, man, that was fun times. That was awesome.
Yeah, no,
I have to do that again.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, it's funny. One of my friends, she works for NASA, and I just got a random message last night, but she is taking some big gig in DC for something, and she's like, "You're my guy." So I can't say anything about it, but like, I don't know, it just sounded kind of cool. I'm like, all right, well, you know, that'd be a good excuse to come down to Maryland and party it up, hang out with Bethesda.
The guys at Bethesda Game Studios, man, these guys party. They party pretty hard. Nowadays I try to take it easy with the partying because, you know, kids and all that, and I want to make sure I make it home. But it's, you know, to be fair, I've actually had to be escorted home or carried home by my producer, man, she has saved my ass so many times. This one time I got so drunk, I didn't even know where I was. It was awesome. I think I had fun, but you know,
This is going to turn into like AA or something.
Yeah, no, dude, I had a lot of fun, but you know, no, they throw some awesome parties, man. It's they definitely spare no expense. They get, you know, good alcohol, good food, good ice sculptures that like where you pour the alcohol in and it comes out, and it's amazing stuff. It's really they really take really good care of us. It's pretty awesome.
You sold me on ice sculptures, so I'm down.
Yeah, right.
So I guess like just starting out, like how did you start out? Were you always like, you know what? Now I'm born. Now I'm a human being. Now I'm alive. I want to do 3D. Like, you know, for you, like what was the kind of moment where you discovered 3D and you were like, actually, this is what I want to do?
As you know, it's a pretty good story, but I remember the exact time before I wanted to do 3D. Let me say, there's a few things I wanted to do. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. I wanted to be an actor.
I
But
want
the
to
one
be
I
a
was
T-Rex. Like,
huh?
I want to be a T-Rex and a crab. Those were my two things when I was a kid.
Nice.
Just throwing
Yeah.
it out there. You know.
No, those are good things to be, I guess, too.
So you want to be Indiana
You went
Jones,
a very different
veterinarian.
path, though.
You know.
But so but the big thing was I wanted to be an actor, and my mom didn't really know how to help me with that. So they actually found a summer camp for the arts. It was an art summer camp. I stayed there for 3 weeks, and I went there, and I was doing little movies. And I remember after there, a week and a half or whatever, I would always. This was when I was like 15, and I would sneak out in the dark. This is a summer camp like in the woods, like with cabins and all that stuff.
The whole thing.
Yeah, and then I would sneak out at night because I'd pretend to be a ninja, and I wanted to see how far I could get.
I want to be a ninja as well. Sorry, I forgot that one.
Yeah, that was a big one right there for everybody. So I dressed up in all black, and I'd go across the rooftops. It was pretty stupid now that I think about it, in the woods, but it was fun, man. I enjoyed that. So one time I'm sneaking out and about, and I see a light coming from an office in one of the cabins, and I'm looking through the window, and I see this guy. He was using, at the time I didn't know, Lightwave 3D. Mm-hmm. So the next day I snuck back out and nobody was in there. So I actually picked a lock and I got into the office and I turned on the computer and I found the software, but I didn't know what the hell to do with it. I didn't know anything about it. And the guy walked in on me and caught me. So he was pissed off, obviously, but then I was like, look, I saw you doing this. I tried to talk as fast as possible because I knew it was in big trouble. I was like, I really want to learn how you did this and whatnot. And they didn't offer that there. He just had it there. He was messing with it. So he ended up teaching me over the next, week and a half or so. He taught me, and I would model some stuff. And I remember back in the day, I modeled like my own version of Pat Labor, the Pat Labor robot from the anime. Because I loved that robot. And then some spaceships, and they were flying through space, all in 3D. And we actually filmed the campsite and landed the robots in the middle of the campsite. And
no way.
It was all superimposed, and he helped me get all this done. And I learned a lot. So at the end of that, all the parents come to pick up their kids, and you go in a theater, and you go up on stage and you present what you did for your time at your time there. And everybody else, all the other kids were doing like Autodesk 2D animation with stick figures and stuff like that. So I finally go up there, and I remember being scared as hell because you have a spotlight and you're at a little podium and like, oh, this is my project. You give a little background on what you did. And it played. And I had the music from Beyond the Mind's Eye because I love that video. So I had that, and I had the robots flying and all this stuff. And when it was done, there was like a moment of silence. And I remember being like not dead, like brokenness. I was like, oh my God, they hated it. And then everybody had never seen anything like that because 3D wasn't really a thing like that. And everybody was like blown away. They stood up, they were clapping. I got a standing ovation. My mom was crying. I'm crying on stage. And I was so excited and overwhelmed by it, And then I told my mom right when I got off the stage, and when I walked up to her, she gave me a big hug and a kiss. And I was like, this is what I want to do, And I saw it in my mom's eyes, like, because I was very all over the place.
So how old are you? You're like 32 at the time?
Yeah, this was last year.
I was a ninja and I was jumping across rooftops. It was awesome.
So she, she was very worried about me finding my way.
Right.
And with that, she saw that I found something, and she got me a computer. I remember they scrounged up what they could to get me a computer, and I got True Space. And from there on, I did work. I got accepted from my high school. I got an internship at NYU, and I started doing 3D there. And then that was it. That was all she wrote after that.
That's cool. I didn't know NYU. I guess, it makes sense. Like, yeah.
They didn't. Actually, they didn't have anything. It's basically called CAT. It's a department there, Center for Advanced Technologies, and they were actually looking into virtual reality at the time. And they had the Onyx. Have you ever remembered the Onyx servers and all that stuff?
Yeah.
They had all that stuff, and I did a lot of I did some work for their VR and for SIGGRAPH. Actually, in '96, I did something for their VR work. It was, now I look back, it was pretty terrible, but at the time, it was good stuff. And yeah, man, that opened so many doors for me. There was a lot of people there I learned from that were very helpful. I don't know if you you've heard of Perlin Noise and all that stuff, Ken Perlin?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
So he was the guy who headed up that department.
Oh shit,
and,
really?
yeah, so I got to meet him and I learned from him and this other individual named Cynthia Allen. She was very influential in my life and guided me. She introduced me to SIGGRAPH and kind of took me around, and I it opened up so many doors for me. So that was really a big event, and that's how I got started in it. And from there on out, I just basically, man, ate, slept, and shit at 3D, dude. I was in my basement nonstop with my True Space book, and then later on 3D Studio Max book, and I was just constantly trying to do artwork, trying to do stuff.
So I want to talk about that in a second. Let's just rewind for a sec. So like when you were a ninja, what year was that?
Oh man, I was 15 years old, so maybe 5 years ago. No, it's just,
So like
yeah,
98,
yeah,
97?
90, it had to be 98, 97, 98, something like that.
I think you're a year older than me or something, right? Like you're 81?
Yeah, I'm 30, I'm 38, I think.
All right,
I gotta ask Liz. I don't remember, but 38.
you
I'm
old,
still
motherfucker.
sexy. Yeah, I'm a sexy old man. I'm not gonna lie. Nah,
So that's cool, and like no, I think it's so fucking cool, and I was looking forward to this because yeah, I love the fact I actually get to like find out a lot about my friends that usually like I had no idea about any of this stuff, and that's so awesome. So like let's talk about you when you're nerding out about True Space and getting the Max and stuff. I mean, so live, breathe, and ate and shit. I don't know. I've already messed it up, but like for you at that moment, because I'm doing a talk tomorrow. I got to fly out to Europe in the morning, and that's like one thing I started reminiscing a little bit about was kind of like me and my obsession with 3D in the beginning. I mean, I think that for a lot of us, you kind of be like, oh, I want to learn this, but if you really want to be good at something, you got to do the 10,000 hours. And for me,
yep,
I
yep,
I would work till 6 in the morning every day, and I get up at 10 a.m. And it wasn't that I woke up at 10 a.m. because it was the magic time for me to wake up. It was because that's how long my render was going to take. So that's
yep,
when I set my alarm. And
yeah.
I think that you need to kind of have that level of obsession with anything that you do if you really want to master it. So like for you, like it sounds like you had something similar where you're obsessed with it. You're like doing those 10,000 hours. Like how was it for you?
No, it's the same thing. The truth be told, in when I was in high school, when I was going through this whole thing, I hung out with my friends here and there, but I didn't go party and stuff like that. I really just, I'll be honest with you, I really just wanted to do 3D. I was obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because at the time my girlfriend would come over and she would, we would chill out, hang out, but I'd go, after hanging out sometime, I'd be back to the 3D doing, you know what I mean? And even with my friends, and I remember trying to teach them and trying to get them in it because I wanted to share it with people, and it was an amazing thing for me. And it was I have a very loud mind. I don't know, like loud, I don't know how to explain it. I'm ADD, so it's a lot of stuff happening in there. And I remember it's the only time where I felt like stuff in my head kind of, I don't know, focused. I just felt like I could see very clearly, and I can see very clearly when I'm doing art, and the other thing is I was never actually really, I would build stuff all the time, robots out of cardboard boxes and all sorts of stuff and radio control car parts, but I never did like drawing or anything like that. But somehow I was not naturally inclined because I was practicing it a lot, but I just gravitated a lot towards sculpture and did well with it.
That's cool.
And yeah, but I do agree that, nowadays, I get a lot of people talking to me about, how do I get into this and how do I get good at this? And the truth is everybody is looking for some sort of
Quick
but
fix.
yeah, and it's unfortunate because people are a lot of people have such a short attention span. They don't want to dedicate the hours that necessary to master something. They don't, ZBrush and stuff like that, amazing tools because you can do a lot. You look at some of these highly detailed models, and in a lot of instances with ZBrush, unfortunately, when I see the artwork, I see a lot of people that do this artwork that is crazy detailed, but it's all over the place. Like, there's no flow. They just want to just add detail to have detail. There's no design, there's a lot of design missing. There's a lot of things that are just missing there. And it's because they have an easy way now to just add this or add that or make these cool details.
There's no planning that went into it.
Yeah. I remember trying to add pores on character models back in the day. Man, that was a project in and of itself. Now you can do some great details with pores with just some simple brush strokes. And, but then, a lot of people just, when they're like, well, why doesn't my stuff look right? It's because the structure, that foundation is not there because they haven't taken the time to really understand what their subject is,
And yeah, I feel that can be with effects as well. And a lot of things like I remember back in the 90s, like I was on chat one day and I think I said to someone like, hey, like, what are you up to or something? And they said, I'm just applying filters in Photoshop until I find something that looks cool or something
Oh
like
man.
that. But like literally, as in like this 200 filters deep. There's my masterpiece. You know what I mean? It's just like so you're not playing the shit at all. And like I wrote one of the first ever sub D tutorials like ever on the web, and for me like that, that was who I was. I came from being a generalist, and I always kept my modeling skills up because I never imagined in a million years I'd ever be able to do effects like for a living. It would be like occasionally get to do effects, sweet. And so I
Right.
always kept my modeling up, and that was always one thing though is you would need to plan every vert, and you would need to know like how everything's going to flow and
Yep.
be tidy. And then ZBrush comes along, and it's just like, fuck it. Like you on CG Talk, it's depressing because there's people doing amazing shit, and they're like, yeah, this is so cool. I picked up 3D yesterday, and here I am.
Yeah,
And
I mean, they have different things available to them now that weren't available, but it's available to us now too, and even those guys, they look for guidance from people who have been around the block with other things a little bit. I think we have a little bit of a different perspective, and the struggle with some of that earlier tech was real stuff. It has, I think it has helped us appreciate the tools a little bit more. That people who haven't gone through that, they have less of appreciation. I find that at times, honestly, they complain a lot too, and I'm like, man, you guys don't know how good you have it, and the value you get from something like ZBrush or Max. Like it's incredible the amount of stuff you have there. Yeah, it's interesting times.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's now a time when you, as an artist, can be an artist rather than needing to technically know the software. And I think that it's pretty amazing that it's at that point. But I think that in a way, it kind of removed that. The learning curve is what made you devoted, and without that, it means anyone can pick it up, and it means that you're gonna kind of crap out some work and be like, "Yay, I'm really good at this." Like, I'll say Christina, she picked up ZBrush one day, made a freaking amazing character, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" And that's the only thing she ever made in it, but like, it looked amazing, and she did that in her first sitting with ZBrush, and it's just like, huh. So,
well, she's a very, very gifted artist, though. I mean, it's gonna be.
She's kind of crazy.
It's gonna, yeah, but it's gonna
Seriously,
she probably understand it easily.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can, I think that you're right, and that's what I'm kind of saying is like, as an artist, you're an artist, and you can kind of pick that stuff up, which is cool. So for you, when you decided very early on, you're like, this is it, this is my calling. I'm gonna rock this shit out. And so you went a long process, but like when it came to your first job, like, was there any struggle to get your first gig, or was it kind of like just walk on in?
My first job was NYU because I went from an internship. They liked my stuff. They took me on a permanent basis for years. I worked there.
Again, I knew none of this.
Huh?
I knew none of this.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, I was very blessed. And, my parents really helped focus me and push me along, and I'm grateful for them. They played a big part in that, and I really feel like along the way, all the right people came that just guided me and just helped me along, just to be patient. To you have ups and downs, but they definitely were. I had a lot of good role models, and I think that's actually something that's also very important nowadays. I think people need to find role models and reach out to them, and you'd be surprised how many people are willing to help and pass that along, and be a part with the newer community and try to help them grow. That's how it helped me. And then so after that, I ended up getting into Pratt Institute, where funny enough, I flunked out because I got through 4 years. Actually, I didn't flunk out. I got through 4 years, and I did the dumbest thing ever. On my last year, I had nothing but, I went into school, and I remember at the time I was pretty arrogant because 3D was a new thing. People didn't know about it, and I was pretty advanced with it. So I didn't have a good respect for the foundation arts, and that's something I have regrets for. I mean, I definitely developed it later on.
Right.
But at the time, I kind of had an unfortunate kind of arrogant attitude towards it, but I learned from it. I paid the price for that. But my last semester, I had nothing but art history classes, and I did not want to do art history. Mm-hmm. And now I love art history, but yeah, I was in there and I was like, I don't want to do art history anymore. So I dropped out. I literally had 1 semester left. I didn't want to finish those credits to get my degree from Pratt Institute. And to this day, I regret that. I was like, man, I should not.
So why do you regret it?
I regret it because now I'm a very strong believer in finishing what you start, and just, I feel like I've learned that over time. Yes. And now I'm very strongly focused towards that. But my problem is that that's something that is on my list that I never finished, even though it was back when I wasn't as focused. And because of that, it's just like a ghost. I keep thinking back on it, and I'm like, man, I wish I had finished that school. You know what I mean?
Right. So besides not finishing it, like, do you think there's any academic benefit that you would have gotten from finishing it, like from actually achieving?
Well, I would love to be able to teach in a college, do some courses here and there, and I can't do
Right.
that because you need to be.
Well, actually, there's a workaround. So, I mean, I forget what it's called over here, but there's a thing called RPL, which is recognition of prior learning. So, if you've worked in the industry for 10 years, like, whatever it's going to be, you can actually transfer your experience to be the equivalent of your schooling. So,
Oh, interesting.
like, this is something that's pretty common where, let's say you want to work in the US, having a degree is very important. And I've known a lot of people who they haven't got a degree, but what they've done is gone to a university and said, I want a degree, here's all my experience. And they've essentially gone through this fast track period where in a couple of weeks they could actually get a degree and then be able to use that to get a permit. So you get like an honorary degree essentially by applying the experiences you've had in the field against that. So there are workarounds for it. But if you're just stubborn as fuck and you're like, no, I want to fucking go back there, like, why don't you hit them up and say, hey, I want to do, get my history on and finish this thing just so I can feel like I've accomplished this and it's not eating away at me in the background,
Yeah, no, it's something definitely to go. I did look into it actually, and it was, well, without what you just mentioned, it was years of schooling. I just can't do it anymore because well, I'm in a good place with my career, so I don't want to enter. That's my priority.
Yeah.
And
I think I could do college. Like I thought about it for a long time because I quit school. Like fuck, I barely went to school after like 9 years old, and in grade 9, it was completely over for me. But like I always thought about going to college, and then bit by bit, it's just like I wouldn't have the patience anymore. You know what I mean? Like working is so much easier, less dedication.
And the truth is, I mean, I'm fortunate that in my field, at least, the schooling is a little bit less important. It's what you can actually do. What your experience is that counts. And in that regard, I always came strong, and I felt like I was able to hustle that up. And I was always very applied. Even though I was in school, I was learning on my own. I mean, I'm completely self-taught, and I was constantly trying to learn more. So I have my regrets just in not being able to finish it. It's less so, even with the teaching, I can do courses now. They don't have to do with college. There's so many options now with that kind of stuff that I can just do that and still reach the same number of people,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think these days, there's got to be a reason behind why you're going to college. It isn't like, well, it's the American dream. I got to go do college. I mean, I think that it's important to actually stop and think for a second, like, do I need to go to college? Like, what am I trying to learn? You know what I mean? If you want an MBA, you can go read a bunch of books and get an MBA in like a couple of weeks rather than a couple of years. If you want to go do heart surgery, you should probably not go to Undead.com and you should probably go to school for that.
Yeah.
So
I think part of the reason for me, why it bothers me is it's just more. It's not just the teaching thing. It's just more of like like I said, finishing what you started, and really that was really it.
No, I think it's good. I think it's a good mindset to have. So just to go back to that arrogance thing for a second, I'm just kind of curious whether you want to talk about that, just because I think that I personally think that we all, especially as artists, we all have that early in our career, and then the better we get, the less arrogant we actually are. It's kind of like
funny, you're right. And I don't mind talking about it. It's funny because over time I definitely later on I got a job at a art outsourcing studio called Shadows and Darkness, and I remember going in there.
Yeah. That I met you in the elevator, and I think we connected right away because we knew.
Oh, because Rick, Rick, you just worked for them,
in Florida. So that's right.
Oh man, that's funny. That's that's right. That's funny.
Totally forgot about that.
Oh, that's all, dude. You just gave me I've had flashbacks, and it's awesome. But yeah, so when I was there, I remember thinking again, oh man, I can do this stuff. You don't really see a lot of it. I'm pretty good at it, and of course, I regret it because it's embarrassing when I think back on it. And I also look back at that work, and I was like, this is it's not what it could. I could have been so much more if I had not been arrogant and listened a little bit more and faster. I realized that the more feedback I take, the more I listen to people, man, the faster I grow. It's no question.
Yeah, I agree.
And it makes you rethink things. It makes you, there's still times to this day where I'm like, I don't agree, but I don't, I'm not as vocal about it. I try to, and I take a few days, and then I always turn around. I'm like, nah, you know what? This person is right. And then I try to take it if 3 or 4 people maybe that's even too much, but like 3 or 4 people tell me the same thing is wrong, it's something I got to look at. It's like, I got to just, whether I like it or not, I got to figure it out.
That's a really good philosophy to have. Is basically, if someone says something, then you can be like, I heard a great metaphor for it where it's pitching and catching. No, it's not quite the same thing. But essentially it's kind of like you've got your baseball mitt, and I don't like this analogy at all, but someone throws something at you, you catch it, and you can decide, you're going to throw it back or you're going to keep it, and it's up to you. But if enough people throw that at you, and after a while you're like, okay, well, now it isn't about throwing it back. Like if I've got this 3 times, then three
something's
different
wrong.
people, then the majority.
Something's got to be rethought. So that's what I try to do, because you always have people who just have different tastes, but when a number of people say, then there's definitely something you got to rethink. So I've always done that, and every time I've gone back, as my work has gotten way better. So Shadows in Darkness, I had Rick, actually, he really good guy, another good influential person in my life, and he was brutally honest with me. And at first I fought it and whatnot, but I learned a lot from just getting that kind of straight up honesty. We had a good relationship, so he didn't hold back. He didn't try to sugarcoat stuff, and other people was the same thing. And it took me a little while to come around, but when I did, man, I really started seeing growth. And then later on, again, I'd still have a hard time with feedback as I went along. I think every artist does. It's not something, if anybody has a hard time with feedback now and they're early in their career, I feel like they should know that's pretty normal. I see it with young people all the time now. It's pretty normal, and you will get better about it if you have an open mind, and just know that that's just going to help. If you listen, if you apply what you are told, like as far as given, you will grow, you will become better. There's no question. Because if you don't, you got to say to yourself, you're selling yourself short. It's like if you're working out and you stop, you do 5 reps, you can do 10, but you stop at 5, you're not going to get anywhere, because you're slowing your own potential there. So now I'm just like, when people say stuff, I listen. Like, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think I can't quote the metaphor, but like or the saying, but like the more you're talking, the less you're listening. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And I honestly feel like it's funny, because the person we were talking about, the DreamWorks guy right before this call, he's someone that I remember introducing to a lot of like people at ILM, like a lot of supervisors who we would be sitting at a table, and like all of us have 15, 20, 30, not me, but 30 years experience doing this stuff. And then this guy is like month 3, and this is kind of like, for me, this would be a dream come true, getting to sit on the table. And one of the guys I remember was saying like, oh yeah, I remember when I was like up in the tree shooting Star Wars, in the redwoods, and we had this one shot, blah 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 blah. And my friend would kind of like jump in and be like, oh well, that's nothing, blah blah blah, trying to like outdo him. And these are the times when you just shut the fuck up and just be humble. You know what I mean? But I feel like at the beginning of your career, you're more talk and trying to impress everyone, and later in your career, you're more like, it isn't magical anymore. It's like, this is a job, I love what I do, but you're not trying to prove to the world that you belong.
I think that what happens, what I've discovered as I've gone along is like, if you sit and talk less, like you said, and people will, if you're doing good stuff and you're learning from people will talk for your stuff. People will talk about your stuff and be like, man, that's great, this, that, and the third. You just got to be, you just got to chill out, listen and be humble. And people like that. People appreciate that, I think, and they want to feel like they can connect to you. If you're arrogant, you're hard to connect to. You're hard to want to, kind of, have a just a connection with, and I think that hurts, and then that hurts your own credibility. It hurts your growth. It hurts in so many ways, and it makes people not want to, really big you up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. No, and yeah, I think that we all have that in the beginning a little bit, and sometimes like you're just really vocal. You're just like, you love talking about it, and people can misconstrue that as being arrogant or whatever. And I know I had that a lot. Like, I just loved talking 3D because I was so excited about it, but people were just like, shut the fuck up, okay? Like, just stop talking. But I think that, again, you got to be passionate about what you do. And so for you, I mean, you mentioned your parents are really supportive, which I think is awesome. And I don't think, like, I bring this up because I don't think everyone's parents are supportive. And it's also, especially with anything in the arts field, whether it's acting, whether it's drawing, whether it's painting or sculpting or whatever it's going to be, there's always that starving artist mentality. And a lot of people just don't really get it when you say, I'm passionate about this and I want to do this for a living. It's like, well, you don't wear a suit, so this isn't a legit job. And that's like a dumbed down version of it, but essentially it is like, that's not a legitimate career. We want you to go do something that is going to pay bills and,
I think nowadays that's less of a thing. I think a lot that industry, our industry, in a lot of ways, has really established itself. And back in the day, I definitely agree it was a thing. But nowadays, at least with 3D and video game developers and artists, movie artists, like everybody, people when they know I'm a game artist, their faces are clearly like, oh man, that's amazing. Like, how do you get into that? How do it's there? It's I mean, it is I think a good accomplishment to have. But I also think that people nowadays are starting to really accept it as a professional thing. We're all professionals that do good work and make money and that kind of thing.
I think once you got the job, it is. But I think that when you communicate like, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm going to go do this." I'm saying like a percentage, but like I'm saying there are going to be a bunch of people who are like, "I don't get it."
Sure.
Why don't you do something that's less of a gamble? And it can be a gamble, but I think, as you said, at the end of the day, it's just you got to do the hard work. That's what it really is.
No question. I think it is a gamble, definitely. I don't. It's like you said. Actually, you do the hard work. I just think you will succeed. I mean, I believe that. Wholeheartedly. You do the hard work, and your skill improves, and you're open, and you're humble, and you improve your work. I believe it wholeheartedly. Anybody who applies themselves, they can make it.
And I wanted you to finish before I kind of went back and said, like, I don't think it's a gamble. I think you're right. Like, at the end of the day, and this is my pet peeve. Like, it's kind of funny because the software company I was talking with today, they kept bringing this up, that a lot of people come to them saying like, oh, I'm going to buy your software because I need to get this like massive visual effects sequence out by tomorrow. And same thing, you go to a lot of students who think that I'm just going to go and it's kind of like learning to cook or whatever. It's like, I'm just going to go and follow the recipe and I'll be a master. And you got to put in that time. But the thing is that I honestly believe the same, that if you put in the time and the effort and you're proactive in doing that, then you can accomplish this, you can accomplish anything. And it sounds all woo and either of us say that, but like it's so fucking true. Like the thing is, most people aren't willing to do that. Most people are willing to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to totally rock this out, but like they're not willing to immerse themselves in it, live and breathe it, nerd out on true space and all that kind of shit that we were doing.
And the truth is, I mean, people I think do think a lot of people, not all, the best ones don't, but they don't realize it's more than just learning the program. Man, I poured over anatomy books. I bought all the anatomy books I had.
360 immersion. You gotta live and breathe it in every single way.
Yeah, dude. Vehicles, robots. I'm constantly looking at stuff. You know what I mean? Just nonstop. I learned as much as I could, and I studied it over and over. So it wasn't just learning the program; it was learning the things you actually needed, looking at animals for anatomy, looking at other people's monster designs, look at, human anatomy, everything, everything you needed to actually, it's a whole package deal. And I think people miss that. They're like, oh, I learned ZBrush. I learned where all these things are. I learned 3D Studio Max. And I'm like, it's so far beyond.
You don't turn it off at 5 o'clock. It's not like Fred Flintstone. You don't go yabba dabba doo and like, you're home. No, I realized this only recently. I had this big epiphany where I would go to dinner with a bunch of friends and all of our partners, and we started making it a rule, at least with some of us. Some of us didn't listen, but we make it a rule, like no 3D talk or no shop talk, and that's when I had that epiphany finally. I'm like, who the fuck has to make a rule about not talking about work? Like, it says so much about our industry. It's like the fact that we're excited to get together and be like, oh yeah, I was doing the shot, blah, 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 blah. And like, that's because that's the kind of like, it's one of those rare things. Like, you don't get a bunch of lawyers together. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of situations where it's like, oh, let's shit talk, this and that. But like in general, like you're not proactively going to be like, let's just get together and nerd out about this shit.
No, I agree, dude. It's funny because, we've done it a few times when we're talking about work related stuff, and that's exciting to me. That kind of stuff is super exciting to me. When I talk about stuff with people at work, it's like you said, it's my passion, and I love talking about it and learning what other people have to say. And you get a different vantage point, or you vent your frustrations about stuff too, and that's helpful too. Sometimes just venting about some stuff helps you come up with a solution, just because you spoke to other like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with role models, for you're pretty fortunate in that respect. I mean, for you though, like, how did you find your role models? Because I think that's the number one thing is that, it's great to have mentors, it's great to have role models, it's great to have people around you, but like, how do you magically find them? You can't go up to
I
someone and say,
think,
hey, please devote all your time to teaching me to be great.
yeah,
Doesn't
well,
work.
actually, the funny thing is, I mean, I had these role models, but I never asked them to devote themselves to
Mhm.
teaching me. And I think that's a big part of it. My mentality was always, I need to teach myself, and I'm just going to follow what they do. You can have a role model that you've never met. I mean, I have role models that are other artists that I follow their work, and I'm like, how
Mhm.
can I be like that? One of the guys whose work I love is Raf Grassetti. I'm sure you know who that is.
Yeah, I was quickly say like it's freaking hilarious because I used to hang out with that kid, and I took him out to lunch one time because it was the first time he ever been in the States, and he didn't know anyone, and yeah, we're hanging out, and like years later, I see his stuff everywhere. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah,
that
he's
guy can
amazing.
do some
So
amazing
him,
work.
Vitaly Bulgarov, and there's a bunch of other people that do some amazing work, and those are my role models. I met Raph finally. It's funny because to me, I'm like, oh my god, I met one of my
Hmm.
heroes. But you know, or Paul Papera, like I love their work, dude. And when I see it, and I finally got to meet him too. But before I met them, they were my role models, and I looked at their stuff, and I never met them in person, but they still taught me.
Hmm.
Didn't even, and that's how I look at it. I didn't try to depend on them directly to be like, teach me something. I
Yeah.
proactively dissected their work or other things and tried to learn from that. And then I did have role models that, taught me, but they taught me more about not so much art. Like I have role models, like even now, Todd Howard, definitely a role model to me. I'm probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. But he teaches me about leadership. He teaches me about humility. He teaches me about, just a lot of things that go way beyond even gaming. It's just how to interact and deal with people because he has a gift for it. And I mean, just from him alone, I've come such a long way. Other people I work with that just have these fantastic characters, and having a role model is not just about what you get from 3D. It's
Yep.
about what they teach you as a developer or as an artist, as far as being a person. Just yeah, I've learned from all of them. Like Rick from Shadows and Darkness. He taught me to be more humble with his harshness. But he did teach me, and that was being a role model too. There's many different things that a role model can teach you. It's not just about finding a role model for art, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I agree because it's about your career, it's about life. When you start looking at things differently, that's when things can change. And
Right.
again, that is, I feel like a huge issue, and that's kind of why I started the podcast in the first place, was because I feel like a lot of people they get fixated on like learning 3D obsessively, but not looking beyond that. And there's so much stuff to do with life that's going to teach you to be better at what you
Yeah.
do. And if you don't pay attention to that, you're too busy being like, no, I got to get good at this program. You're not going to learn those really valuable lessons.
Sure. I think it's good to get good at the program, but I think it's important to, especially from earlier on, to really just, listen to people who have
Hmm.
been around, and listen to people who can, better you as a person, not just an artist,
Yeah.
because you will make you overall. It's like a overall making you better.
Look at time management, stuff like that. I mean, if you can manage yourself as well, like self-management,
Yep.
the more shit you can get done in a day. Just
Yep.
in general, the more learning the people around you what they do. Like, let's say you have a producer, learning a bit of what they do. The more you can communicate with them, the more you can understand their needs, and you can give them that. So, I mean, yeah, there's just you can never stop learning. I think
Right.
that's really critical.
Right.
So when was the first like big gig where you're like, all right, this is cool, I'm digging it, I made it.
I mean, when I worked at Shadows and Darkness, I got to do work for like Call of Duty, the first Modern Warfare.
Hmm.
And I made some environment assets, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, that's pretty good stuff. And I did some art assets for the first Borderlands,
Hmm.
and that was when I started feeling like, okay, now I'm starting to get into some good good visibility with that stuff. I can show that stuff, and it's good at some AAA games. Um, and then Tronic was I went there and I got to work on the whole Spec Ops trailer and a couple other things, and that was also it was a good learning experience for me. It was hard, as you well know, but no, it was a good learning experience for me. And but then after that, when things kind of went south there, I found myself unemployed, and basically their money just tightened up. It was the whole economy was tanking. There wasn't money available for advertisements anymore, and the studio was downsizing dramatically, and I don't even know if they're open anymore. But
yeah, they're not. Because Vivian hit me up a few months ago. Just randomly was like, "Hey, I got this app that I'm doing." I'm like, "Wow, I didn't expect that, but that's cool."
Yeah,
So,
no, she's a fighter though. I knew she would land on her feet, but
Yep.
so basically after that, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to get into a AAA studio. So I spent months, just working on art, making sure I looked at the art I found out some of the other artists that worked there, looked at their work, looked at what the studio's producing, and I said I have to at least match that. But my goal was to surpass it, and that's what I did. I just worked nonstop. And at the time, one of the big pieces that I did was that Undead Warrior.
Yeah.
And,
I was going to bring that up.
That actually got into books, magazines, and a bunch of stuff. And it got me calls to Naughty Dog, Blur, Bethesda Game Studios. But Bethesda Game Studios snatched me up immediately. And that was it, man. Once I got in there, I was like starstruck. I loved Bethesda games. I was into Oblivion and Fallout 3 and all that stuff. And meeting Todd in person and all that. I was just like, oh man. And then they gave me a tour, and all the stuff that they have for their employees, the benefits and stuff, gym and cafeteria, and the place is awesome and fun people, awesome team, great games. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm sold.
That's so cool. Yeah, and so for you, how long was the transition from, let's say, Tronic, or where you kind of were like, okay, I gotta look for work, to getting that piece together that got you the gig at Bethesda?
I remember I was probably spent, oh man, I can't remember exactly now. It was a few months, and I worked nonstop on trying to really find something that was strong, and just redoing my portfolio, redoing the demo reel. But I remember when I finally launched that Undead Warrior, on CG Society and all that stuff, I started getting emails and calls, and without even applying for stuff,
awesome.
for people that wanted me to do work, and I was still doing some freelance gigs here and there. So that took a time too, because I had to put food on the table, right? So that in the middle of doing all that, I had to do freelance gigs. Unfortunately, stuff that at the time I couldn't show either, which sucked. You know how that is. But I would say 4 to 5 months or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly.
Right. And that's an investment. You're essentially saying, okay, I'm gonna raise the bar, and because I'm sure you could go out right then and there and technically get work, but you're saying I'm gonna go next level.
And I got offers.
Yeah,
from smaller studios.
But that's just it. You're like, no, I want to go next level. I don't want to go where I'm at right now. I'm gonna embrace this moment of time and say I'm gonna go 1 up, 2 up. And so for me to do that, I'm gonna clear my plate and be like, let's reinvent Dennis and rock this shit out.
And that's exactly it. Reinvent. That's so true. And I remember that in every way I wanted to be different with the next place I went to, and I did. I'm still me, but I grew. And then on top of that, I remember saying to myself, and to this day I believe this: I'm not moving. I wouldn't move to another place unless it's a significant step up. I don't move. I try not to move laterally. I'm trying to move up. If it's lateral, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? Once I got in here, it was a perfect fit. I clicked, and I mean, really for me, just meeting Todd and talking to him, it sealed the deal, man. That dude could talk you into pretty much anything. He's awesome. He's got a lot of game.
That's cool.
But it was that's pretty much what got me into it. And you started getting, once stuff starts getting into magazines and books, because it got into the DRT books from CD Society and stuff like that. You start getting a lot of attention. It's pretty awesome.
That's cool. That's so cool. And so for you, going there, what was one of the first things you kind of noticed from previously working, where it's beta level to suddenly go to alpha, where you're going to the big leagues, and you're going somewhere where you're passionate about, you're still passionate about. So, were there any big realizations, going to a place where suddenly everyone you work with is just mind-blowingly talented, and you've got a lot to,
Well, yeah, that definitely, you're in there, and you're basically, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant because I was just talking about, but you're kind of like a star among stars now. So it's different, but at the same time, you grow. When you do that, man, you grow so much faster. You really do. When you surround yourself with people that are better than you, you are going to get much better really fast, for a number of reasons. A, they teach you, and B, you get the fire under your ass. You're like, oh shit, I got to step it up,
Cool.
And then on top of that, when I got there, for me, it was like, man, this place is so laid back. It was super laid back. I was, trying to put some hard hours, man. You remember that? It was no joke. And
I loved it, but it was just more working for the sake of working. It was very disorganized.
no, it was all over the place. I mean, that was a hard place to work, man, for a number of reasons. But but yeah, man, this place is so laid back, and the main dude, this guy is on interviews. He's well known, or whatever, and man, he'll hang out, talk with you, and about regular stuff. I've been in his office for hours sometimes, just shooting the shit. This guy's no joke. He just got accepted into the Hall of Fame, for video games and stuff. Like it's a big deal. And he's the most down to earth dude. You could talk to him just like you're talking to me, and you'd never know that he is at that level. But yeah, so in so many ways, and everybody that was so laid back, and it was just again, like the all the benefits they have there, like being able to work out at the studio. I've never seen that before. They have a gym in the studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been to a few.
Cafeteria in the studio. You get all the food there. It was crazy to me. Like I'd never seen that. So to me, it was pretty amazing.
That's cool. Hey, we'll take a quick break for a couple of seconds if that's cool. We won't go too much longer anyway, so I won't take up all your time. But this is cool. I had like 50 beers just before we started, and I'm like, all right, now I gotta go. So give me 1 sec. But yeah, I'm digging this, man. I think this is really awesome, and I kind of feel like we're, I'd love to talk about all the Bethesda stuff. So I think this is gonna be cool.
Yeah, man. I have time, so we're all good.
Cool, awesome. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, dude. All right, that was exciting.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, man. But yeah, just following up, like I think that's super cool. Like I think there's always those places you go to that just have these massive growth spurts where yeah, as you said, you're surrounded by people who pull you up, and I think that's like a number one thing. Like I think we always get very comfortable where maybe we are really good at what we do, and where suddenly we got all these friends around you kind of pumping your ego up, saying like, oh, you're so great, and it's kind of cool to either be at a studio or around friends who they're not doing as well as you, so because of that you're king of your crop, and you kind of feels kind of cool to be in that situation, but like you're not going to get any growth when you're not being challenged. And I always think it's better to be at the bottom of the barrel. Like if you find those people who are way better than you, it's better for you to be at that level where it's like, fuck, I want to be up where they are, because they're going to pull you up rather than having the people around you pull you down to their level. So I always think it's better to kind of surround yourself with very successful people.
Yeah, no, when you're not around people who are better than you or people who are worse than you, like you basically you can stagnate because you're not motivated. And the competition is no joke. When you go in competitive mode, you are capable of some amazing stuff, putting some amazing hours. Like, so that's the nice thing about the internet now. I'm very motivated by stuff I see online all the time now. You see a ton of stuff. So
yeah, you see a 13-year-old kid do some amazing shit. You aim him like, fuck you, man! I'm gonna crush you. I'm gonna destroy you, man. Your game is on. You think this is a game? You think this is a motherfucking game? Arr, arr. Sorry, I had to have my moment.
Full of DMX mode right there.
Actually, I was gonna quickly interrupt to say that like I got asked to go to Buffalo Federal Prison to interview Wesley Snipes.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, when he was in prison, and I was talking about it like recently in a review session with my students, and one of my students, he's like, oh yeah, my dad was the one who drove him to prison. And he's like, he also drove DMX to prison as well. And I was just like, fuck, how many rappers like end up in that place? So apparently there's like 3 that he mentioned, but yeah. So anyway,
yeah, that's crazy. But what was I saying?
we're talking about surrounding yourself with people that are going to pull you up, pull you down, and internet being a great place for that.
Right. No, but yeah, I see a lot of the talented artists, like even people who, like I said, are my icons and I admire, and I feel are on another level that I would like to achieve. But man, I see their stuff and I'm like, well, I gotta try to blow those guys out. You know what I mean? Like I love them, but I'm like, I gotta try.
That's good, because most people wouldn't have the confidence to do that. So it kind of says a lot when it's like, you get to a point where you're like, okay, like this is good. I need that fuel,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's really powerful to kind of have that, it's kind of like when people tell you can't do something, it kind of fires you up. So that way you want to prove them wrong. And that could be the best really fire you ever have.
Yeah. No, Todd messes with me like that all the time.
Is that the best you can do?
Yeah. And I just I get fired up, I'm onto his games though.
I'm on to you, motherfucker. That's
Yeah.
good. I like that. That's cool. And so, like, for you so far, like, what's the proudest thing you've done while you've been at Bethesda?
Well, the proudest game I've worked on is definitely, for me, honestly, is Skyrim. There's something really magical about that game, and and I think part of it too is maybe because it's the first full AAA game I worked on, like that I was not a freelancer, But aside from that, no, there's something really magical about that game, and I love. Fallout was an awesome experience. I loved it, and I had way more that I did in Fallout, and I got to design a much deeper character creation system. And that was awesome. I was grateful to be trusted with that. The robot creation system, as far as just pure like art or designing something, I'd say the robot creation system is the thing I'm the most proud of because I like I said, I love robots, and this gave me something I've always wanted to do. Is I wanted to build robots in video games, and this was pretty fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I spent tons of all-nighters trying to make all the parts. Literally, I made hundreds and hundreds of parts. I think something close to 500 parts for the robots. And since it was DLC, it was a really small team, so I ended up doing the lion's share of those parts. But props to Charles Kim too. He really helped me when it came down to it. But in the end, yeah, man, it all came down to me doing majority of that stuff, and it was a lot of hard work. But I remember every night when I finished a set of parts and I put it in the game and I mix and matching these parts with other parts I had done, I just feel like just intense satisfaction. I'm just like, this is cool. Right after that, I would blow them up, and it was awesome. Because cool. By the way, I love blowing robots up too.
Well, there you go. We got that in common. What do you think are some of the challenges, though? Like, for you day to day, like, what are the things you struggle with or find like you got to really step it up?
I'd say the challenges for me are probably myself. That's my biggest challenge. I aim really high, but I think at times I don't know how to rein that in. And I also think that sometimes I've gotten better about it, but I can get bogged down in the details instead of the bigger picture. And that can, as you know, that can waste time, or too much of a perfectionist. That one, I obsess with, like, if something is not just right, like I go back to it over and over. And then I've gotten better about that too, but definitely something that, is a challenge for me. Even though, I've had people say, no, that looks great, or this or that. And I just,
it's not good enough.
It just eats at me. I'm like, nope, this is not good enough.
Do you have an example of like where you kind of get stuck in that revision mode where you're like a perfectionist?
A lot of the robot designs, to be honest with you, I revised them quite a bunch of times. In the summit, I showed a bunch of the previous versions. Faces, what I started with. Well, what started with needed a lot of work, to be honest with you. And I looked at it, and I guess at the time maybe it was good, but it wasn't good enough. And I stopped working on it and come back a month later. I'm like, man, that's terrible. Terrible. For me anyway.
Or as Rick Vicens would say, terrible.
Terrible. Terrible. That's terrible. Yeah. So I'd go back and I'd rework the model, and it was good though, because it got way better each time I did it, and I learned a lot more each time I did it. Because you go fresh, you pick up on new things. So in a way it hurts, but in a way, it does help you grow. But I could do with some balance in those ways, and I get very passionate. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I can I can be very intense. Let's just say that. And I think Todd always tells me he loves that and he appreciates that. But sometimes it's hard for people to kind of deal with that. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But I think a lot of people, I work with a lot of people and we work together great, and it's good stuff. Like all the stuff I've worked on has been with a team, and each time the team has really come in and kicked in with ideas and helped me, really learn or grow or develop whatever it is we're working on. So
that's cool.
So you do good with it.
So with the review process, like, how's it work for you? You'll go and make something, and when you feel like it's good enough, you present that to the team, or you present it to a specific person and say, yo, what do you think of this? And they come back with feedback, or is it like a group thing?
It's usually, I search for a lot of individual feedback throughout, and I do it at stages where I feel like there's something pivotal that I need to kind of figure out. So it's sometimes I'm boxing stuff out. I box a lot of stuff out. So sometimes when I'm boxing something out and I'm looking at functionality that I want to try, I will look for feedback, even though it's just boxes. And I'm like, hey,
Right.
this works this way. What do you think of this idea? If this opens up this way or whatever. And I get feedback at that stage and see what people think. I get feedback when I'm developing art, the actual artwork, the silhouette. And then when I'm putting in details. And I always pick different people for feedback just to see kind of what a variety of minds think. And then, of course, always the leads. The leads you always go to feedback for. Like, art director and Todd and all that stuff.
The person is final say.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome, man. Do you guys ever mess around with the id Software guys much?
Yeah. Oh man, we hang out. We've hung out with those guys. I've gotten drunk with those guys a few times. It's good stuff. They're good dudes, man.
Yeah.
Very talented.
They're crazy fuckers. Yeah, I like them a lot. I think it was like right after Doom. I flew down there for a week and just hung out with Martin and all those dudes. And yeah,
dude.
They're a
Those
good
dudes are
bunch.
fun. I don't know if you met Hugo.
Yeah. Sorry. Hugo's awesome.
Dude,
he's
that's
a
my
funny
dude right
fucker.
there. Man, we've had some fun times, man. Me and that dude. That's my dude right there. But no, I'm a big fan of his because I love Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
And I geeked out when I met him. I was like, oh my God, he signed my book and drew a little, Gypsy Danger on my book right then and there. I was like, oh my God, it was awesome. Like I said, I've hung out with them. They come to the holiday parties. So
yeah, I heard about that actually. Actually, I've heard. Sorry to interrupt. Like now I think about it, we actually talked a lot about Bethesda, and they said so many nice things about just the way that Bethesda works as a publisher, as also just just everything about the way you guys are structured. It sounds like really cool. They said a lot of nice stuff. I'm starting to recall. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good place to go to work. I mean, in fairness, I haven't been to other, big, publisher or whatever, like Activision or EA or anything like that. But I've heard horror stories and I've heard that some places have gotten better about stuff. So who knows? I really don't know, but I know that at BGS they really go through great pains to make us feel appreciated. Wonder there's always little politics here and there and issues that you're going to find
Sure.
that any place, but for the most part, I think BGS really does handle that really well. I think a big part of that is Todd. I'm convinced. Like he is, as far as leaders go, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody like that. I've never met, and I've been to tons of GDC stuff and I've never met anybody like him.
And we're talking about Todd Howard for anyone who's switched on.
And if Todd Howard's listening to this, I'm not saying this to kiss your ass, all right? You better know that. No, he's a good dude, but I bust his balls all the time.
That's good.
So,
do you ever get to go to GDC?
I went to GDC last year, and it was for my first time. It was awesome, dude. I not this past GDC, but the one previous.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go this year, but I had a new baby, so that wasn't happening.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So that's a handful right there. But I'd love to go every year if I could. I learned a ton, met a ton of amazing people. Like it's a good place to go.
I've been to all the parties, but I've never actually been to the convention. So I gotta go.
Oh, that's what I was talking about at the parties.
Well, I just love it because like video games are so incestuous. So like I would just rock up at like the W Hotel, in San Fran, and it'd be like people from Canada, Australia, like just everywhere, just like lazing out on couches, like Alan, what's up? And it's just like fucking hell, like it's just it brings everyone together, which is awesome. It's so cool.
Yep. Yeah.
So one thing I was gonna bring up is keep it in shape, because like that was one thing you mentioned about like, oh, I've never been in a studio that like you'd work out every day. And I remember we're in Vancouver. I was at Radical Games, Activision company, and that was one thing we do every day was P90X. And instantly I would always think of you, because for some reason like P90X and puking makes me think of you. So but yeah, I mean for you, like, do you find that working out, staying in shape, like it really has a huge impact on your work?
Oh yeah, definitely. It has a huge impact on my mental state. It helps me release. And on top of that, you get to a place where, especially as you get older, you want to feel like you're still capable of doing stuff and you're still strong. And the truth is, I wholeheartedly believe that working out is the fountain of youth. I can do stuff. I mean, I'm in better shape now than I ever was in my 20s. But it's crazy, but I'm more focused now on stuff and more disciplined about stuff. So I go almost every day. I go every day except weekends, so I work out with a couple of other people in the studio, and there's actually a few people who are, dedicated there. I started a workout club, a fit club.
Nice. A fight club.
Yeah. I'm not in it anymore because it got so big that I had to kind of step away. It got huge and I couldn't be in it anymore because it was affecting my workouts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
What do you
awesome
mean?
that
Are you
people.
slowing you down, or what do you mean?
Yeah, because you want to teach people. You want to make sure if they're doing that, you're teaching them so they don't get hurt, so they're doing
Yep.
it right, so they get results. Because otherwise, they won't stick to it. So they want to feel like they're getting results, and a lot of people want that personal attention, so they could feel like they're learning directly.
That's right.
And I started doing like this calisthenic routine, which is all like gymnastic stuff and handstands and all that, and that's what really gave me results. And I started kind of trying to teach others that. And
Ninja shit.
yeah, it's ninja shit, but it's awesome. Like you do that, you could, the feats of strength you can develop. I was doing stuff I never thought I would be able to do, and I tried to teach other people wanted to learn, and I tried to show them, and a lot of them have had a lot of growth with it. And, so I'm grateful that I could do that. But now I feel like I've had to just kind of go on my own because it's too.
How do you find time to do it? Because I mean, I know that's going to be the number one thing that a lot of people procrastinate about. Is like, I just don't have time to work out.
I hear that all the time. I hear that even at people at my job who get in it and quit. Who talk about. I mean, it's probably one of the most frustrating things I hear because everybody has time. You literally have the time to do anything. It's how you schedule it out. If you schedule it out, you can do it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen those same people bullshitting on their phone or on Facebook, or I'm sure they go home and watch TV and do bullshit. Dude, you always have the time. I work out during lunch to answer your question.
Thank you. That's what I was waiting for. It sounds like you want to like go and beat the shit over right now. You're all fired up.
No. There's a few people that, they need to get their shit straight. My point is that if you really want to do anything, not just the gym, the time is there. You just say, I'm going to go do this at this time. Man, when it comes to the gym, for the most part, I don't care what comes up, man. I'm going. Even with meetings. If they cut in, just move the meeting. You know what I mean? Like, I am going to the gym,
That's cool. But yeah, I like it. I mean, I think that's important. Yeah, and I think it's cool that you've got a place that kind of gives you that freedom.
I mean, they're very flexible with their hours. There a lot of stuff at times I got to run in late or run out early or, and as long as I do what I got to do or come, I'll spend extra hours this day or whatever, they know when it comes down to it. I have slept overnight at the studio, now they're not big on crunch. The truth is most of the crunch comes because of my own things that I want to add to the game. Which is another awesome thing. They let you do that, you have a lot of freedom to add your own stuff to the game, and they know I'll put in the time. I will put in the time because I care. I care about the game. I care about the studio. I care about not letting my teammates down. This thing, as long as you have that, they're very flexible with what you do with your time there.
Cool. No, I think it's great, man. Yeah, I think it's really inspiring, and like I think that when you find the right places that allow you to be the artist that you want to be, then you've got the complete freedom to do what you want to do, and I think it's really important. I was curious, do you want to talk at all about the side hustle, like having I think I'll say this and we can edit it out if you decide not to, but I do think it's really inspiring that someone's saying, hey, I want to start my own business and build a laundromat, for instance. Like for me, I found that kind of inspiring hearing you say like, yeah, I went and bought my own company and did all that stuff. Is this something you want to talk about at all, or do you want to not all the other things, but just in general, like, hey, I bought a laundromat.
Yeah, the laundromat is not a big deal to talk about. In any kind of like side business, which I don't do anyway, but any kind of side business related to gaming, probably something I wouldn't. But I don't do it anyway. Yeah. But I don't care talking about the laundromat, whatever.
Cool. I was just curious. Basically, I do think it's kind of interesting because I do think that it's important for people to have like rather than being like, oh, I'm not satisfied at where I'm at, blah blah blah. I should be like, well, why don't you go and create new opportunities for yourself? But we'll see. Like I mean, I don't have too much else to say, but like I guess like kind of looping back for a minute, but like for you with your general workflow, I mean, where do you typically find inspiration in what you're doing? Obviously doing robots, things like that. Is there a lot of places that you specifically seek out that you draw a lot of inspiration from, or you just kind of typically draw, or what's your methodology?
I doodle, whether it's on paper or in ZBrush. Sometimes I just kind of doodle and something comes out of it, I dig that. But my inspiration comes from like I just look around life. So a lot of times I see construction truck driving by, or I'll walk by and I'm like, holy shit, look at all the details on that. There's a beauty to that. I love machines. That's just the way something about the way they look, and the designer. Why did the designer do this? What functionality does it bring? Or or a cool looking character, or or the different CG communities, 3D printing communities. I love that stuff. NASA, stuff like that.
So have you ever messed around with doing any 3D printing?
Yeah, I do it all the time, actually. I'm in
Okay.
yeah, if you look at my Instagram channel, I'm in the process of building Sentry bot on in 3D. He's fully he's big too. He's huge. He's awesome.
That's so cool because yeah, I actually haven't looked apart from seeing all your baby photos and stuff.
Well, yeah, I don't post that on my Instagram stuff. I try to keep that strictly, related to what I do.
Yeah, and I'll link to all your social media stuff too. Buddy of mine, Alessandro Belso, I can never say his name
Yeah,
right.
I know. I'm a big fan.
Baldessaroni. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. We go way back, but like he's doing. So many of my friends are doing like such cool 3D stuff these days for McFarlane and all these other companies,
Yeah.
and I think it's just so cool. And he's definitely kind of stepping up, doing a lot
No,
of.
he's a beast. I love his work. Actually, I've been following him for a long time too. It's funny you say that because like one day I could see myself designing toys and doing 3D stuff. Like for toys or collectibles. Like I do love that, the idea of that.
Cool. And right now with all the 3D stuff, I'm loading up your Instagram now. That's so cool. Let me like something. That's so cool. So, yeah, I mean, what's your process? You're basically just going to ZBrush, sculpting everything, and then going out and.
So it's funny because I bought my 3D printer when I first started robots. So I built the robots with 3D printing in mind.
Really?
And if you look on there there's a Mr. Handy that's fully painted. He's all chromed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually built that and gave it to Todd, and it's huge. It's a huge mob. But I fully painted that prop. It's sitting in Todd's office, and he was blown away by it. So like that one talks. You can remove the armor panel. So I said to myself, I'm going to 3D print every robot I've built for Fallout. So that's
so cool.
what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, man, I love it. Like really great work. So
Thanks.
cool.
Yeah, and then hopefully after I finish 3D printing sculptures of these guys, I'm actually gonna make some animatronic versions, that actually animate, move, and that kind of stuff with servos.
Dude, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. So I guess I'll just finish up with like how's the married life and the having a bunch of kids and working and all that balance in between all that. Like how many kids you got now? You got two.
Yeah, I have two kids. One is 2 months old. The other one's 3.5. The wife, of course, lovely lady. She's really is. She's been a huge inspiration for me. I mean, I've talked about a lot of people who are been role models in my life. She's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's super
Yeah,
cool.
she's a very strong woman, very patient, very kind and giving, and in a lot of ways, I was so focused on individual things, and to be truthful, focused very inwardly, back when I was younger as well. And she kind of helped me to see that and be better in a lot of ways. So I'm so grateful for that because that's probably the biggest growth I've had right there. That has helped me be more open to feedback and be better about responding to people. And there's times where you drop the ball here and there, but for the most part, I really feel like she's helped me just overcome. And it hasn't been easy. Our relationship, is, being a game developer is hard on a relationship. It really is. Even a place as laid back as Bethesda Game Studios, man. But, when it comes time to bust ass, you're busting ass and your family suffers for it.
Yeah. It's part of the dedication. I mean, that's the good thing, at least with games, is it's the long turnaround. It's not like, let's say a commercial is every 2 weeks. So therefore it means that you're probably going to be cranking late hours every 2 weeks. It means that video games, it might be a few milestones or vertical slices depending on where you're at in the game, but like you might have a few periods of time where it's like you got to go do it, and but at least it's not as frequent, which is a good thing. But where were you and Liz living originally back in New York days?
In Jersey.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I used to commute on the bus all the time.
Yeah,
that's why you took me to the Port Authority. That's why.
No. Because I was thinking about today because I got to fly to Jersey in the morning and the blizzard and all that crap. And but yeah, so like because I know Liz was studying at the time and you were working at Tronic.
Yeah.
And when you guys moved to Bethesda, like again, I'm just curious, and it is a bit of a personal thing, but like, was it difficult to kind of make that decision as a partnership rather than again you selfishly being like, all right, cool, I got a job, gonna go now. You gotta make that decision thinking of someone else in mind.
It was hard because she had to finish school when I got the job, and she had at least I think 6 months left.
I think I remember that.
I had to move down to Maryland by myself and live there. She'd come visit on the weekends. I didn't have a car. She had the car. But I was I got an apartment real close to the studio, so I would walk. But yeah, man, it was a lot of tearful goodbyes, man. It was really horrible in that regard, but I think it helped us appreciate each other more, and it made believe it or not, I think it made our bond stronger. And it was really hard, man. I hated it. I hated when she left. I hated it, but you got to do what you got to do, right? And she had to, she wanted to finish school, which was important. And I wanted to make sure I started building a good foundation at BGS. So, everybody, I think at some point or another who's dedicated will do what they have to do, and it requires some sacrifice.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I guess 1-2 quick questions, but Rick Vicens, like he came down, was that after you?
Yeah, he was I put him in.
Right. So how much did he pay you? Like slipped you a 50?
No,
like, yo, get me in.
I begged this dude to come, I was like, dude, you would love it here, man, for months. And he kept blowing me off. And he's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, dude, you're going to love it here. This place is awesome. This, that, and the third. And
I love that guy.
No, he's awesome. And then finally I was like, Rick, I'm going to tell you this is the last time I'm offering it. You come to this place, submit your resume, submit your work. I put it to her, I'll make sure I put it to all the people that need to see it. They're going to love you, because he has this great character. He brings a lot of great character, strong leadership. He's a good dude. Really good dude. You know him already. He's got a big heart. So he, I was like, if you don't do it now, I'm done. This door's closed, because I was getting frustrated. He's like, fine. So finally we put all the stuff, and that was it, man. They saw his stuff. They loved it. They took him in, and he loves it now. He loves it. He got a lead position eventually. So he's doing good stuff, man. The guy's he's a passionate dude, and he's got a great heart.
Yeah, it's Rick and Amy. Those guys are awesome. I love them. I miss them a lot. And it's kind of cool. Like I was really happy when the two of you went down there, because it's kind of like, it's really cool just to kind of see you guys, step up and go there together. Because I'm like, cool. Now I don't have to like split up my visits. I can just go to one place and hang out in one place.
They are awesome. And Amy, I always mess with her. I always give her, so she always threatens to stab me with a fork.
I was just about to say, because I love her because she's so nice, but even she'll, remind me, it's like, don't mess with me, I'm gangsta, like I'll cut you.
Yeah. So we have a good relationship. It's fun.
That's cool.
But it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Andre Cantrell, he went up. Actually, so many people went. Johannes, Marcus Boos, all went to LA for a period of time. I think Johannes is at ILM now. Marcus had to go back to Germany. But Andre is he's in LA still.
Right.
Not sure who else there was. I don't know. But anyway, I mean, out of those, it was really cool. Like we had a good team of people, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I learned, those guys so humble too, incredibly talented, so humble, and I'm glad to see that those guys really, just took off.
And Theo, motherfucking Theo.
Yes, right, yeah. No,
he's back in Canada right now.
That dude's doing things too. He's doing good. It makes me happy to see all those guys do good.
It's pretty funny because whenever I go to New York, I'd always catch up with him, and he's done such a 180 from like where he was back then. Like whenever I see him these days, he'd always rock up and he always have two bags. He'd have his backpack and he'd have his gym bag. And but he's doing great. I miss all those guys. Honestly, it's one of those projects that I wasn't proud of the project. It was such a disorganized. Like I almost mentioned I was thinking of subjects to go on about, because the talk I'm giving this week is basically all my failures.
Right.
So one of them was like learning, because I think that was the place where I learned to interview a studio more than they'll interview me, because you got to ask the right questions to find out like what kind of like fire pit you're walking into. And that was one of the places where they wanted really ambitious stuff, and it's like, okay, great, how big's your render farm? It's like, oh, we got like 12 machines.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
Man. Yeah, and you rock up and it's like, wait, you got 12 workstations, where's your render farm? It's like, oh, we don't have one. It's like, okay, so
it wasn't even 12 machines, it was our machines that we were working on.
So it's like, what do we render on? It's like if you were working 24 hours a day. But just in general, it's just, it was what it was. But
I think we bonded so strongly because it was such a messed up situation.
And it sucks, but that's usually the case.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is what it is. But I loved everyone there, and I think everyone there was great. So I'm really fond of that place. And there's a few projects like that where it's just like you meet these amazing people and you build friendships for life. And I think it's kind of cool that recently. We've talked about doing this for a while, but like just kind of finally get in the chat and hang out a bit. I want to get down there. I've been invited down to shoot a few things in DC a few times, and I'm kind of just looking for the excuse to come down. So one way or another, I'll get down there. I'll kick Rick's ass, and we'll get some drinks. I'll carry you home like usual.
Dude, I'm all in for that, man. I've been waiting a long time. You always got a place to stay for sure.
Thanks,
You
man.
know, I'll let you stay in my shed. It'll be great.
You're so hospitable. Yeah, it'd be really great to meet your daughters and yeah, catch up with Liz and see Rick and Amy as well. I'm sure
Yeah,
they've
dude.
not to get all racist, but I'm sure they've got a pretty large family by now, knowing those guys.
We do try. I'm trying to make my own soccer team.
That's right. Well, as I said the other day, I gotta work on mine. So this has been cool, man. Like appreciate you taking the time. It's been really cool, and yeah, I mean, it's cool to hear about Bethesda and all the cool stuff you guys are doing too. So
Yeah, and put it out there. I'll put it out there that Bethesda is always looking for talented people. You know, and they hire. They want to hire the best. You know, so but definitely they will take very good care.
So crush your competition before you apply. Okay?
Yeah,
Break their
yeah,
kneecaps, break their
yeah,
wrists.
crush them. But no, it is definitely. I will say that there's no doubt it's probably one of the best studios to work for, as far as just how they take care of you and all that stuff, and in every way. Without getting into too many specific details, they really go far to if you work hard, you do your thing there, you will be in a good place.
That's cool. That's cool. And like you guys are doing Quake something or other now too, right?
Yeah, Quake Champions.
Yeah, one of the guys at Nike sent me a text the other day, and like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Did you click the link?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. What do you want?" And he's like, "You gotta sign up for the beta." And I'm like, "Really?" And I click it, and I'm like, "Quake," and I'm like, "All right, that was cool." But he's like, "Have you signed up yet?" And I'm like, "Damn it!" So it sounds like yeah, everyone's pretty psyched about that game as well. So you guys are doing a lot.
We have a lot of projects coming up. We have what is it? Prey coming. I think in May. So there's some good stuff down the pipe. That should be a pretty awesome game. We have a lot of projects in the pipe that'll keep coming in. We really do focus a lot on delivering a good gaming experience. You see by Doom, Dishonored, all those games highly acclaimed. It's just we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that those games ship and they're fun games for the gamers. They're high quality. That's one thing I love about this studio. It's not just pump out title after title. It's more of like, if this is not good enough, we have to go back to the drawing board to make it as good as it needs to be. And they are so focused on putting out quality.
Cool. Titles. You guys like the Pixar video games then? It's like
we definitely try, so I commend them for that. A lot of, as a lot of big corporations, they don't, focus on that kind of stuff. And, we are privately owned. So that's another good thing. We're not there at the behest of, public investors and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's a good place to be.
Cool. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely come down and visit, and I'm looking forward to putting some throw pillows in that shed, make you comfortable. Awesome, man. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, brother.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'll be back next week with Philippe Leprince, who's one of the Render Man engineers at Pixar, and we talk about a lot of cool stuff. It's a super cool episode, and I think one that's really critical for all of us to hear, especially as artists who might be afraid of diving into the more technical world, as he came from being an artist who very much grew into the technical world, but just kind of in general talking about production and a lot of the stuff that he's done, feature films, working at Double Negative, Framestore, and a lot of other places, and of course working at Pixar as well. So that episode is coming up, episode 85. In the meantime, if you want to check out that training that's available for a little bit longer, but check it out, it's alanmckay.com/fireball. Okay, and lastly, like I said, the show notes, alanmckay.com/84, and I will leave it there. I got to get back to building all this training I'm putting out. Okay, so I will talk to you soon. Rock on.